the problems of sub-Saharan Africa are spawned in the smokestacks of Europe.
We have never experienced as human beings anything like that scale of temperature increase. It would redraw the physical geography of the planet.
We are going to survive, or we are going to be doomed together.
We must ensure that a truly global and ambitious agreement is finalized 1 year from now at COP15 in Copenhagen next December.
We must take care that Africa gets a better chance to develop in the future decades.
De internationale klimaforhandlere har travlt. I 2012 udløber Kyoto-protokollen, og politikerne har givet sig selv en sidste frist til at få en ny global klimaaftale på plads. FN's internationale klimakonference i København i december. Og der er meget på spil. Fattige lande som Kenya mærker allerede dramatiske konsekvenser af den globale opvarmning. Derfor kræver Kenya flere penge til klimatilpasning, men håber også, at verdens øgede fokus på klimaet kan være med til at sætte skub i en mere grøn og bæredygtig udvikling til gavn for Afrikas fattige. Det er tidlig morgen i Makueni-distriktet i det sydøstlige Kenya. Som millioner af andre afrikanske kvinder går Virginia Charlo afsted for at hente vand til madlavning og tøjvask. År for år er Virginias tur efter vand blevet længere.
Kebulani ayuenda n'umuntu kwenda kuwa simbulani awaslingi 8 kwa kilo. Najua atotozise nyata kwanje nina family mbingi. Yo yeza idea ninaye wenundu ngwika. Yuni thio ngoso ta kilo kimwe. Siana matunda inacho ai chau. Yukilo chuki mwa tuka modena na wiro o kingi kimwe.
Africa is particularly vulnerable to climate change for a number of reasons. The first is it's a fairly dry continent overall. And the other factor, of course, that's important is that in sub-Saharan Africa, there are many people who don't have the economic means to defend themselves against climate change. You know, you or I, if we face a real crisis, could go out and buy some water, you know. Those people just don't have those sort of options. They don't have the cash reserves to do anything. They are stuck in that system and are exquisitely vulnerable to it. And you can see that those people will start suffering. In fact, they already are suffering, but will suffer disproportionately as our climate starts to shift.
If you're poorer, you generally are living in a more vulnerable place, in the sense that your house or your village or your community will be less strongly built, less well protected. If you're poor, often you're more likely to be involved in agriculture than people in richer countries. Agriculture is particularly sensitive to the weather.
A country like Kenya is always at risk from drought and from what we call extreme events related to climate change. So on the whole, you can say that a country like Kenya is very, very vulnerable. We almost live from day to day.
Landskabet ser grønt og frodigt ud, men den grønne farve snyder. Majsen her, som skulle have skaffet folk mad de kommende måneder, er fuldstændig slået fejl. Den blev sået lige før den korte regntid, men den udeblev, og et par byer for en uges tid siden var lige nok til at farve majsen grøn, men ikke nok til at redde den. Og derfor må folk her i området ty til nødhjælp for at holde sulten fra døren, og majsen, ja, den kan bruges til at fodre dyrene med. Matthew Wambua går sin daglige runde blandt måleinstrumenterne på vejrstationen i Makindo i nærheden af Makueni, og hans observationer fortæller om et klima i forandring.
The observations we are dealing with compared to last years, you find there's a lot of deficit, like rainfall. The rainfall which was recorded last year, like this year is actually virtually there was no rain. The days are hotter, the skies are more blue, and the rains are fewer and fewer.
For decades now, we've been used to seeing sub-Saharan Africa as some sort of basket case, a place where things have just got worse and worse and worse. And we've had a very convenient storyline, really, to explain that. And the storyline goes something like, well, there's so many people there and they have such destructive means of agriculture and of animal husbandry that the animals are all eating the grass and killing the trees, and the desert's expanding and the people are suffering. So it's sort of a very convenient way of saying, well, it's all their fault. You know. Now, what we've learnt in recent years is that that is not the case at all. People using global climate models have been able to demonstrate that the reason that rainfall is declining across sub-Saharan Africa is not due to landscape degradation, but due to industrial emissions of pollution, particularly carbon dioxide, from Europe and other developed parts of the world. So in essence, what we understand now is that the problems of sub-Saharan Africa are spawned in the smokestacks of Europe.
Pai viu ni na bandi temboka. Ni bona ngunda sana ke uchicho tumo. Lakini timbemba. Ina banda skuma ngabando manana. Na tu spinach ngabanda. Lakini yundi banda. Dita yunye nenda ondi yomboka la mindo. La ubanda. Woni ulane na woyu. Kuka leo pinduka. Antu maye kwa jani manunu tayu.
Et af klimaforandringernes brutale paradokser er, at det er de fattige, der rammes først og hårdest af konsekvenserne af den globale opvarmning, som de stort set ikke bidrager til selv. Vi er i Kenya, men det kunne være et hvilket som helst sted på landet i Afrika, hvor elektriciteten endnu ikke er nået ud, hvor folk har problemer med adgang til vand, og hvor energiforbruget er forsvindende lille. I det store CO2-regnskab fylder familien Charlos forbrug ikke meget. Det kan dårligt nok måles. Den gennemsnitlige kenianer udleder 300 kilo CO2 om året. Den gennemsnitlige dansker omkring 10 tons. Men der er stadig et pænt stykke vej op til amerikanerens 20 tons om året.
Ona drui maitu naenda ona mau paibando meso dinanga nundu kukwinga izululu ti common muno twenda ona mau mundu akathia kauta onende twabasa esio kona mau ai ye binda ya ciana city school ciana zuma ba kwa jana mau ika bika school na sisi okona mau.
If it gets very hot in the West, you can still use your air conditioners. People in poor countries cannot afford that kind. It's a luxury. And the poor, if your house is destroyed, there's nothing. I mean, you're facing a serious disaster.
I begyndelsen af 2009 blev Kenya hårdt ramt af tørke, og myndighederne måtte skaffe nødhjælp til omkring 10 millioner kenianere.
In this district we have close to 550,000 people, half of which require relief assistance in terms of food. What you can see behind me is lots and lots of maize bags which have been imported from South Africa to cover in for the shortage that has been caused by the poor rains in the last 2 seasons. In the past, we used to get one drought in 10 years in this region, but currently it's down to 3 years. Every 3 years, we get a drought, and that results to food shortage, and that's why we have to give communities some assistance like this.
Tørke rammer ikke blot landbefolkningen, men sætter hele Kenyas økonomi voldsomt tilbage.
The impact of drought in a country like this is to reduce the GDP, sometimes even up to 20%. In a very bad year, the GDP may even drop by up to 30%.
Ide tukuna ke balwa o mundu ayaza nude gewu ainenge kumi una newa na ke muse ko ya ko na ke balwa aede tuiya yutuina leke ila nayo ni ke balwa nenda anga koba sainge ngainga batu na batu tikito kukoma.
De umulige forhold på landet og de elendige fremtidsudsigter, der oven i købet er forværret af klimaforandringerne, tænder en drøm om en helt anden tilværelse. Og den drøm søger mange til storbyen for at realisere. Kibera er Nairobis største slumkvarter, ja faktisk et af Afrikas største slumkvarterer med omkring 1 million mennesker. Og her slutter drømmen for mange af de mennesker, der strømmer fra landet og ind til byen i jagten på arbejde og en bedre tilværelse.
When I came from up country, it's not that what I expected to get, because when you come from up country, you feel that there's some jobs here. But when you come, you find that there are no such jobs. So you start doing such casual things, and it forces you to come back here at a place where life is cheap. People keep on coming daily. People come here daily because climatic change has made life up country to be very difficult. Even farming has been very difficult. So there are a lot of death cases at home. So when probably your parents are dead, you come and stay with your brother. Your brother probably don't even have some good job. So it forces you to live where life is cheap, so that at least you can get something. So people keep on trickling daily. We have so many people who are unqualified here.
This kind of cycle creates more and more problems for the society. This is a very dangerous trend. If it is allowed to continue, it means that the urban areas will be filled with a lot of unemployed people, and this kind of thing can lead to revolution. And really, it is pretty dangerous.
If things continue as they are now, I think we will see widespread desertification in Africa. A destruction of the capacity of the land to feed people, and therefore a breakdown in law and order. And we will see mass mortality, almost certainly, and really a disintegration into chaos across that continent. That's my worst case scenario.
If we don't watch out, we'll find that climate change will bring in a lot of insecurity. And this is just not in Kenya. You find that all over Africa, in areas where there is a lot of problems with drought, there is always this kind of insecurity. And the problem is that in the past, people used to use spears and arrows and whatnot. Now they use Kalashnikovs, AK-47. And so you find that among the pastoralists, they actually kill each other in very large numbers. Now, this is one of the obvious outcomes of climate change. Like I could say that the problem that is happening in Darfur is very much a bigger version of what I'm talking about.
Mange projekter er i gang for at hjælpe folk på landet med at tilpasse sig klimaforandringerne. Et af dem er i Makueni-distriktet, og her spiller meteorolog Matthew Wambua en vigtig rolle. På vejrstationen i Makindo indsamler han data for at kunne lave mere præcise vejrudsigter. De skal hjælpe landmændene nu, hvor klimaet opfører sig anderledes, end de har været vant til.
The data we get after analyzing all this, the department is trying to pass this information to the village, to the farmer, even to the local government authorities, so that they can advise their people what to do when situations like this happen.
Når klimaforandringerne gør regnen mere uregelmæssig, må bønderne tilpasse sig ved at blive bedre til at udnytte de vandressourcer, der trods alt er til rådighed.
When we get rains in the seasons where we have good rains, we get a lot of water flowing in these rivers, and a lot of that water goes away into the ocean. It doesn't benefit people around here. So the idea behind putting up this wall is to block that water from running away, and to conserve it so it doesn't go out through evaporation. The purpose is to have the sand as a cushion to hold all of the water in the sand, so that we can get it down slowly as we use it.
Klimatilpasningsprojektet i Makueni-distriktet hjælper de lokale landmænd. Men der er millioner af andre afrikanske bønder, der har brug for lignende støtte. Og de nuværende bevillinger til klimatilpasning rækker slet ikke. Afrikanske ledere vurderer selv, at der er behov for $67 milliarder om året i støtte til klimatilpasning i fattige lande. Det svarer til mere end halvdelen af verdens samlede udviklingsbistand. Og klimaindsatsen skal indarbejdes i udviklingsbistanden for at give mest muligt for pengene.
We must see adaptation as part of development, not as something separate. It's about the same issues. We do need additional funds because of the changing climate, and that additionality is extremely important. But what we mustn't do is separate out adaptation as a very different activity, because we'll just create confusion and will make development worse, and adaptation will be less than it could have been.
Mange afrikanere må tjene til dagen og vejen ved at fælde træer og lave dem til trækul, de kan sælge. Det slider hårdt på de naturressourcer, de selv er afhængige af. Det er svært at tage hensyn til miljøet og tænke langsigtet, når man er fattig. Her på skråningerne af Kenyas højeste bjerg, Mount Kenya, er klimaforandringer og mange års træfældning rystet sammen til en cocktail, der er skadelig både for miljøet og for de mennesker, der bor her.
Area wetu ethairwo engirini ikware anduzi ethairwo iri nyingi itwanda gintu ya miogo ikabua tukanda ikwasi bya mukuo bikabua tukanda mpembe na mung'au na ikwasi bikethwa bibugi indi kuma mite gutemwa utigintu ya kiu kiriona ndi kwachoka kwaya mirimo itibuja nontu bwa rugoro eguru nontu timite.
Nu bliver der igen plantet træer på Mount Kenya. Det sørger organisationen Green Belt Movement for i samarbejde med lokalbefolkningen.
Planting a tree is the simplest thing that any man can do. By planting a tree, you can change a lot of things, you can change a lot of lives, you can change climate, you can change the way the people live, you can change the way the animals are living, and you can change the economy of a given country. Okay.
Når skoven vender tilbage til Mount Kenyas skråninger, håber de lokale, der deltager i projektet, at også regnen vil vende tilbage. Men hertil kommer, at de kan tjene penge på projektet. Træerne optager nemlig store mængder CO2 fra atmosfæren, og den CO2 kan sælges som CO2-kreditter til rige lande eller firmaer, der har brug for at bringe balance i deres CO2-regnskab. Og indtægterne fra salget skal gå tilbage til de lokale.
This cash, what they get from this carbon money, is supposed to come back, to be plowed back into the community, not as a form of money that they will use to build out, but to help them sustainably. Projects that will help them sustain their families, projects that will help them to intensively use their land in a proper way.
Handlen med CO2 skal være med til at sætte gang i CO2-besparende projekter i fattige lande. Men det er lidt af en bureaukratisk kamp at få projekterne godkendt. Et mere enkelt system for den internationale CO2-handel er derfor også blandt de afrikanske landes ønsker til en ny international klimaaftale. Afrika har også behov for støtte udefra til at udnytte kontinentets enorme potentiale for grøn og CO2-neutral energi til gavn for afrikanerne og for det globale klima. I landsbyen Kibale på Mount Kenyas grønne og frodige sydskråning er Flora Vakera på vej til den nye energikiosk for at få strøm på sin genopladelige lampe. Landsbybeboerne har for første gang nogensinde fået adgang til elektricitet, og den er ovenikøbet CO2-fri. Den kommer fra et nærliggende vandfald. Hvert fjerde menneske på jordkloden har endnu ikke adgang til strøm, blandt andet fordi det er så dyrt at udbygge elnettet. Men hvis man bor der, hvor elnettet endnu ikke er nået ud, ja, så kan man jo forsøge at udnytte de vedvarende energikilder, der er tilgængelige lokalt. Det er man begyndt på her i landsbyen Kibale.
This village is about, I would say it's about 6 kilometers from the town center. It is far off from the urbanism, and it is also far off from the rural grid. And what we have here is a community power center called Kivae, and people of this community access electricity services from this center. We need to promote the use of renewable energy resources, which they have right here. They have a waterfall which is about 10 meters. The saving is very obvious, and the impact is instant. This is a project that we want to roll out in the whole country, and we want it to touch on the lives of and improve the livelihoods of the people living in the rural communities, and to make them self-reliant, and to help them do even bigger projects that can help them generate income.
Mindre end 10% af landbefolkningen i Afrika har adgang til strøm og til de muligheder, det giver. Og det internationale energiagentur forudser, at over 500 millioner afrikanere stadig vil være uden elektricitet i 2030, hvis ikke investeringerne i strøm øges massivt. Så det er ikke kun for klimaets skyld, at det er en god idé at fremme brugen af grønne energikilder i Afrika.
They reduce poverty. They can be used to generate income, to provide jobs to rural people. They can provide poor people with electricity, with clean water, with health services. They can help with vaccinations, with dispensaries. So it's for those reasons really priority should be given to renewables in Africa.
Tanken om at udnytte Afrikas grønne energikilder er ikke ny. Som mange andre udviklingslande rummer Kenya et kæmpe potentiale for vedvarende energi, men ikke ret meget af den bliver udnyttet. Problemet er, at det ofte koster enorme investeringer at udnytte den ellers gratis energi. Her ved Tana River blev det første vandkraftværk indviet helt tilbage i 1932. Det blev udvidet i 1954, men først her i 2009 er der blevet penge nok til at sende de gamle turbiner på pension og erstatte dem med nye, bedre og mere moderne. Afrikas satsning på grøn energi kræver økonomisk og teknisk støtte udefra, og den støtte kan være godt givet ud.
It makes sense for industrialized countries, European countries, to assist African countries to promote renewables. The next continent to industrialize will be Africa. So it's a good idea to actually put into place a renewable energy system now to avoid the kind of large-scale coal plants that are being built on a monthly basis in China and India. We can avoid that path in Africa by adopting a renewable energy path very early in our development path and still be able to deliver the anti-poverty benefits that you are looking for.
We must take care that Africa gets a better chance to develop in the future decades, because you cannot have a modern world where you still have a whole continent, a whole region where basically you won't have the modern life, the modern commodities that everybody else would hope for, where you have hundreds and hundreds of millions living in poverty.
Kenya er andet og mere end fattige bønder og storbyslum. Der er vækst, og der er en middelklasse, der gerne skulle blive større. I landets moderne, dynamiske hovedstad Nairobi sidder de embedsmænd og politikere, der skal til klimakonference i København til december for at tale Kenyas sag. Og de retter skytset mod de rige lande.
The polluter pays principle requires that those that are responsible for the climate change take the responsibility to facilitate so that we take a different development pathway. Because if we go the same route, we're going to have problems. It will get even worse. And on the other hand, we don't want to lose our opportunity to develop in order to address an issue that isn't, which other people have used to develop and messed up the environment. So we need to be facilitated to take development paradigm that is green, that is environment friendly. And therefore the technology transfer negotiations are very critical for us.
Kenya er hårdt ramt af klimaforandringerne, men samtidig kan verdens øgede fokus på klimaet betyde en helt ny start for Kenya og andre udviklingslande. Meget afhænger af, hvordan en international klimaaftale i København kommer til at se ud. Forventningerne til København her i Kenya er store, men de er også forsigtige. Afrikanske lande er tidligere vendt skuffet hjem fra internationale topmøder, hvor de rige landes vilje til at tage hensyn til de fattige lande for alvor skulle stå sin prøve.
We don't want tokenism in Copenhagen. What we need is an honest hand stretched to stop us from drowning.
The rich countries of the world have a special obligation to try to help the not so fortunate, economically speaking, countries to adapt to climate change. Yes, I think that in the end it's also a question of having a moral obligation.
We do have the capacity to solve this problem. There are opportunities in this field of addressing climate change that I'm sure will make many people wealthy. And yet, we'll turn off the TV tonight, we'll go to sleep, and the clock's still going to be ticking. We don't have forever to make the decisions we need to secure our future.
This is the only home we have. If we destroy this home, we have nothing. And let's stop pointing fingers at each other and see how are we going to survive together.